The only 6 exercises you need for an extremely aesthetic upper body. Let's face it, for most men who train, having an extremely aesthetic upper body is the main goal. Unfortunately, many never achieve this result simply because they lack basic knowledge of the anatomy of each muscle group. Without understanding how muscles work, they end up choosing random exercises that don't provide complete and balanced development. The result? Years of wasted training, obvious muscular asymmetries, and a physique that is far from aesthetic. Many focus only on what everyone does at the gym, neglecting angles and essential muscles that make all the visual difference. That's why today you'll see 6 strategically chosen exercises to completely transform your entire upper body: chest, back, biceps, triceps, shoulders, and trapezius. Before we begin, please tell us through the comments your name and the city where you're watching our content from. We'd love to know. Exercise number 6, incline bench, shrug. The trapezius is one of the most underestimated muscles when we talk about building a truly aesthetic physique. While everyone worries about chest, biceps, and abs, they completely neglect this region that literally connects your shoulders to your neck and fills that area that makes all the difference in the overall appearance of the body. A well-developed trapezius creates that look of solidity and completeness that separates a common physique from a really impressive one. That's why it opens our list, although you don't necessarily need to do it first in your workout. The incline bench shrug works primarily the upper fibers of the trapezius, with secondary activation of the rhomboids and scapular elevators. The great advantage of this exercise over the traditional standing dumbbell shrug is in the positioning. When you're inclined, you completely eliminate the possibility of using body momentum to lift the weight, which forces the trapezius to work in an isolated and much more intense way. Additionally, the incline of the bench allows for superior range of motion, as you can lower your shoulders completely without the dumbbells hitting your thighs. To execute correctly, adjust a bench to approximately 45 degrees. Lie face down with your chest supported and let your arms hang holding the dumbbells. The movement consists of raising your shoulders toward your ears as if you were actually trying to shrug your shoulders, but in a controlled and concentrated manner. Keep your arms completely extended throughout the movement, as the idea is not to bend your elbows and do a row, but rather to lift exclusively through trapezius contraction. Hold the contraction at the top for 1 second before lowering in a controlled manner. The main errors to avoid are rotating your shoulders in a circular movement, which removes tension from the trapezius and can cause shoulder injuries, bending your elbows, transforming the exercise into a row, and using excessive load that doesn't allow complete amplitude. I recommend doing 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, focusing on mind-muscle connection and the burning sensation in the trapezius. Contraindications include shoulder injuries, especially in the rotator cuff, and serious cervical problems that may be aggravated by intense contraction of the upper trapezius. Exercise number 5, dumbbell overhead press. The dumbbell overhead press is without a doubt one of the most complete exercises for building voluminous and well-defined shoulders. This movement works primarily the 3 portions of the deltoid, with the anterior and lateral being the most recruited, with secondary activation of the triceps and core stabilizers. The great advantage of using dumbbells instead of the barbell is in the strength symmetry you develop, as each arm needs to sustain and move the weight independently, preventing the dominant side from compensating for the weakness of the other side. Additionally, dumbbells allow for a more natural and anatomical range of motion for the shoulder joints. To execute the movement correctly, sit on a bench with a straight backrest, keep your back supported and feet firm on the floor. Hold the dumbbells at shoulder height with palms facing forward, elbows at approximately 90 degrees. Push the dumbbells upward in a controlled manner until your arms are almost completely extended. Here's an extremely important tip that many ignore. If you want to focus 100% on the shoulder and maximize the work of the anterior deltoid, it's not necessary to raise until the arm is fully straightened. In this final position, with arms completely extended, who's sustaining the weight up there is mainly the triceps, not the anterior deltoid. Therefore, go up to just before complete arm extension and lower in a very controlled manner to the starting position, emphasizing the eccentric phase of the movement. The main errors to avoid are arching your back, excessively to manage to lift more weight, which transfers tension to the lower back and increases injury risk. Banging the dumbbells at the top of the movement, wasting energy and creating momentum, and lowering your elbows much below the shoulder line, which places unnecessary tension on the joint. I recommend performing 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions with a load that allows perfect execution. People with rotator cuff injuries, shoulder tendinitis, or joint instability should avoid this exercise or seek professional guidance before executing it. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Exercise number 4, Incline Dumbbell Curl. To understand why the incline curl is so effective, first you need to know a little about biceps anatomy. The biceps brachii is composed of 2 portions, the short head, which is on the inner part of the arm, and the long head, which is on the outer part. The long head is responsible for creating that biceps peak when you contract it, that elevation that everyone wants to have. The great secret to developing the long head is performing exercises where the elbow positions itself behind the torso line, and that's exactly what the incline bench provides. When you lie on a bench inclined at approximately 45 degrees and let your arms hang backward, you're placing the long head of the biceps in a pre-stretched position that allows for a much more complete and intense contraction. This exercise works primarily the biceps brachii, with emphasis on the long head, in addition to recruiting the brachialis and brachioradialis secondarily. To execute correctly, adjust a bench to 45 degrees, sit with your back completely supported, and let your arms hang at the side of your body, holding the dumbbells with palms facing forward. Begin the movement by flexing your elbows and raising the dumbbells toward your shoulders, keeping your elbows fixed in the same position throughout the movement. It's crucial not to allow your elbows to shift forward, as this removes tension from the long head and makes the exercise less effective. Contract strongly at the top, hold for 1 second feeling the biceps burn, and lower in a controlled manner until complete arm extension. The main errors to avoid are swinging your body to generate momentum, which completely removes tension from the biceps, bringing your elbows forward during the upward phase, losing the benefit of the incline angle, and not lowering completely to full arm extension, limiting the amplitude. I recommend 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, focusing on feeling each fiber of the biceps working. This exercise is contraindicated for people with biceps tendon injuries, elbow tendinitis, or shoulder problems that make it difficult to keep arms in the elongated position behind the body. Exercise number 3, front lat pull down with pronated grip. The latissimus dorsi is the muscle that literally creates that V shape in your torso, making your waist appear narrower and shoulders wider. A well-developed latissimus dorsi is absolutely essential for an aesthetic physique, and the front lat pull-down with pronated grip is one of the best exercises to work this region. The choice of pronated grip, where the palms face forward, has a specific reason. It maximizes recruitment of the latissimus dorsi and minimizes biceps participation, allowing you to really focus on back work. Additionally, this grip intensely recruits the middle portion of the back, including the rhomboids and the middle part of the trapezius. An extremely important warning: never do this exercise taking the bar behind your head. This variation places the shoulders in an anatomically vulnerable position and drastically increases the risk of rotator cuff injuries and in the shoulder joint itself. 2. Execute correctly from the front, sit in the equipment, hold the bar with hands spaced beyond shoulder width and palms facing forward. Before initiating the pulling movement, the secret is to retract the scapula, that is, throw your shoulders backward and downward. This initial movement ensures that the latissimus dorsi is the protagonist and not the upper trapezius. From there, visualize giving an elbow strike downward, pulling your elbows toward your waist while bringing the bar to upper chest height. Keep your chest puffed out and a slight backward lean of the torso throughout the movement. The main errors to avoid are taking your elbows backward instead of downward, which excessively activates the biceps and removes tension from the latissimus dorsi, not retracting the scapula before pulling, making the upper trapezius steal the movement, using momentum by violently swinging the body and not controlling the eccentric phase, simply releasing the weight back. I recommend 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, focusing on mind-muscle connection and feeling the latissimus dorsi stretch completely at the top and contract intensely at the bottom. Exercise number 2, unilateral overhead dumbbell triceps extension. The triceps is responsible for approximately 2/3 of the total arm volume, So if you want really big arms, you need to train triceps with the same intensity as you train biceps. The triceps brachii is composed of 3 heads: lateral, medial, and long. The long head is the largest of them, and also the most neglected, and the unilateral overhead dumbbell triceps extension is exceptionally effective for working precisely this portion. When you raise your arm above your head and perform the elbow extension, you place the long head in a position of complete stretch as it crosses both the elbow joint and the shoulder joint. This allows for much more complete recruitment of muscle fibers. The great advantage of doing unilateral, that is, one arm at a time, is in the possibility of correcting asymmetries and ensuring that both sides work with the same intensity. To execute correctly, stand or sit on a bench with backrest, hold a dumbbell with one hand, and raise your arm completely extended above your head. With the other hand, you can hold the elbow of the working arm to keep it fixed and stable. From this position, flex your elbow, lowering the dumbbell in a controlled manner behind your head until you feel a complete stretch in the triceps. The elbow should remain pointing upward throughout the movement, without shifting to the sides or forward. Extend your elbow again, bringing the dumbbell back to the starting position, strongly contracting the triceps at the top. The main errors to avoid are allowing the elbow to move during the exercise, which distributes tension to other muscles, arching your back excessively when lowering the weight, using too heavy a load that doesn't allow complete amplitude, and doing the movement in a fast and uncontrolled manner without feeling the muscle working. I recommend 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions for each arm, prioritizing perfect execution over the load used. Exercise number 1, incline dumbbell bench press. The pectoral is probably the muscle group that most symbolizes a developed masculine physique, but most people train chest incompletely. The pectoralis major muscle is divided into 3 portions: clavicular or upper, sternocostal or middle, and abdominal or lower. The clavicular portion, that upper part of the pectoral, is naturally more difficult to develop. And if you don't work specifically on this region, there's a visible gap that leaves the pectoral disproportionate and aesthetically incomplete. That's exactly why we chose the incline bench press as an essential exercise for chest on this list. The great advantage of dumbbells over the free barbell is in several crucial aspects. First, load progression. When you train with a barbell and can no longer do the complete movement, you need someone to help get the bar off you. With dumbbells, you simply drop them to the side if necessary, which brings much more safety and allows you to train to true muscular failure. Second, range of motion. With the barbell, you can only lower until it touches your chest, but with dumbbells, you can go much lower, completely stretching the pectoral fibers and generating much more micro-trauma that leads to growth. Third, each side works independently, preventing the dominant pectoral from compensating for the weaker one, which ensures symmetrical development. Despite machines also offering good safety for bench press movements, dumbbells require you to stabilize the weight throughout the movement, recruiting various stabilizer muscles and developing coordination and functional strength that machines don't provide. To execute correctly, adjust a bench to approximately 30 to 45 degrees, sit and position the dumbbells on your thighs. Use leg momentum to help bring the dumbbells to the starting position at upper chest height. Lie down and position the dumbbells beside your chest with elbows at approximately 45 degrees from your body. Push the dumbbells upward until almost complete arm extension, bringing them slightly together at the top to maximally contract the pectoral. Lower in an extremely controlled manner, emphasizing the eccentric phase until you feel a complete stretch in the upper pectoral. The eccentric phase, this controlled lowering, is frequently neglected but represents 40 to 50% of hypertrophy potential, so never simply drop the weight. The main errors to avoid are arching your back excessively to try to lift more weight, banging the dumbbells at the top of the movement wasting energy, lowering too quickly without controlling the eccentric phase, and keeping your elbows too wide perpendicular to the body, which overloads the shoulders. I recommend 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, prioritizing complete amplitude and control over excessive load. Bonus exercise, mountain climbers. Now that you already know the 6 fundamental exercises to completely transform your upper body, I'm going to present you with a bonus exercise that will perfectly complement all this work. Having well-developed chest, back, shoulders, biceps, triceps, and trapezius is fantastic. But if you neglect the core and maintain a layer of fat covering all this musculature, the aesthetic result is compromised. That's where mountain climbers come in, an exceptional exercise that unites the two things necessary to define the abdomen: intense strengthening of abdominal muscles and cardiovascular component that accelerates fat loss. In other words, with this single movement, you not only strengthen the muscle, but also remove the layer of fat that prevents it from showing. Mountain climbers work primarily the rectus abdominis, the obliques, and the transverse abdominis, in addition to intensely recruiting the hip flexors, anterior deltoids, serratus anterior, and lower back stabilizers. The cardiovascular component significantly elevates heart rate, promoting high caloric expenditure even after training. To execute correctly, begin in a high plank position with hands supported on the floor directly below your shoulders, arms completely extended, body forming a straight line from head to heels. Keep the core contracted the entire time to protect the lower back. From this position, bring one knee toward your chest explosively, as if you were running horizontally, and rapidly alternate legs. The movement should be dynamic but controlled, keeping the hips relatively stable without swinging to the sides. Imagine you're climbing a mountain at high speed, hence the name of the exercise. An important tip is to keep body weight distributed between the hands and not let all the weight fall on the wrists. The main errors to avoid are raising the hips too much, forming an inverted V with the body, which completely removes tension from the abdomen, letting the hips drop toward the floor, dangerously arching the lower back, moving the legs too slowly, losing the cardiovascular benefit, and holding your breath during the movement when you should maintain rhythmic breathing. I recommend performing 3 to 4 sets of 30 to 60 seconds each, maintaining high intensity and perfect form. As you progress, you can increase the time of each set or the execution speed. If you're over 50 years old, enjoyed this topic, and want to also discover the 10 daily habits that nobody talks about out there, but force your body to gain more muscle mass, we left a video appearing right now on the screen showing each of them better. Don't fail to check it out, because they're not those cliche things, saying you have to eat more protein, sleep better, or drink more water. Thank you for watching until here, and may God bless you, my friend.